And Malaysia's GDP beat expectations, bouncing back to growth in the final quarter of last year as coronavirus curbs were lifted and economic activity resumed. The economy expanded 3.6% on year in the 3 months ending December after shrinking 4.5% in Q3. A Bloomberg survey had estimated an uptick of 3.3%. On a quarterly basis, the 6.6% jump also came in stronger than what economists had forecast. For the full year, GDP expanded 3.1%. Now, that marks a significant turnaround from a 5.6% contraction in 2020. Now, the economic recovery in Q4 came as virus containment measures were relaxed. Manufacturing sector was the main growth driver in the quarter, growing at a 9% clip. The result keeps Southeast Asia's third largest economy on a recovery path. And more hopes are on the horizon for the tourism sector. The government's advisory council has reportedly agreed to reopen borders to international visitors as early as the 1st of March, quarantine-free. Joseph Incal-Katera, chief ASEAN economist at HSBC, says consumer demand is picking up pace and would drive the country's growth outlook.
I think for tourism, the outlook is still relatively bleak for most countries in the region. But in terms of consumption, I think actually the worst has passed for the economy. Yes, Omicron is spreading, but we know based on the examples in the West that it's extremely mild and it tends to have a relatively small disruption, especially in a country like Malaysia where you have a very high vaccination rate, very good progress made with boosters as well. So, we could potentially see some slowdown in the first quarter. We are indeed expecting that. As perhaps consumers are a little bit more cautious as they see cases increase. But it's very unlikely that the government returns to the restrictions that were imposed last year. I think we've passed that point. So we're not going to see the same types of MCOs, maybe some marginal restrictions. But by and large, we only expect a small speed bump to the recovery in the coming weeks. But then a very strong consumer recovery, especially in the end of the first quarter and the second quarter. And that will really drive the Malaysian growth outlook this year.